And one thing I would say, if he really wanted to put the cats amongst the pigeons, with all the support he has, he's the most popular man, I would say, in the United States. If he told his followers, buy silver, buy 10 ounces of silver each of you, can you imagine what would happen? Monday, March 1st, 2021, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So is the silver squeeze over? Is silver going to go back down to 20 or 18? Is all the excitement that we had in the beginning of the month with Wall Street bets finished? No, I'm here to say that buying silver is more than just a trade. And I've spoken about this a few times. Even last year, I did a video entitled "The Hunt Brothers' New Physical Silver Was the Fed's Achilles Heel." That was on December 28th, 2020. I did a live stream with Rafi Fava back on February 1st. And I said, physical silver is Wall Street's Achilles heel. And the other thing that we need to realize is the same people, the bullion banks, they're also the banks that are the primary dealers for the Federal Reserve. Without those banks, without the primary dealers, they can't control the bond market because the Federal Reserve goes into the bond market through the primary dealers. So if the primary dealers are not around, the whole system implodes. The whole fiat currency system implodes. And is it any wonder that we're seeing the bond markets, especially the government bond markets, come under pressure in the last few weeks with all the demand for physical silver, all the demand for physical gold? I don't think it's a coincidence. And yes, if you cut the globalists at the financing point, if we cut their funding, they'll have a very tough time implementing what they're trying to do right now. Especially in the last year, they've been around for many centuries. I'm not going to go in detail about how I feel about what's going on, because my purpose here is to try to wake people up and make them aware that they can fight these people through where it hurts, through their funding. And the way to do that is to be outside the banking system. Every £1,000 or $1,000 or 1,000 Aussie dollars you leave in the bank, they will hypothecate that. It's like gold and silver. If you leave the physical in the system, they'll hypothecate that. They'll do the same thing with the fiat currency, and they'll keep going. If you really want to know how I feel, not just about the crisis, but also about the whole control mechanism, have a look at one of my best videos. I was surprised when I made this video back in 2017, August 2017. I never thought it would be the video for which I have the most views. I have almost 240,000 views, and it's called How I Reverse Type 2 Diabetes Without Medication. It's a part 1. There's a part 2. Part 2 did okay, got 20,000 views. So can you imagine if I try to do a video like that about what's going on right now? That would probably be deleted. But luckily, this video about type 2 diabetes didn't get deleted. So watch that to see how I feel about it. The other thing I would say, if you want to know how I feel about what's going on in the world that I can't talk about here, unfortunately, go to my monaco64.net blog. I update this blog regularly, not every day. And if you go back to June, I wrote a couple of articles about how I feel about what's going on. One is from June 11th, the other one from June 24th. And the one from June 11th has over 10,000 views, which is very good for my blog. So yes, do that. So before we get into silver a little further, let's just look at the markets and to see how the bond markets, like the central banks, have basically succumbed. They've how can I say, they've come out with more QE. They're worried about yields spiking, and it started out in Australia. I think last week they bought a couple of billion of paper, government bond paper, and today I saw an update here, or something that came out on LinkedIn from James Bianco of Bianco Research. I follow him, and he says here, if you're bullish on risk assets, good news. The RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, panicked about rising rates, making their yield curve control look like it's not controlling all that much. So yes, they instituted yield curve control last March, the Aussie Reserve Bank. And as I said, I made a video last week about yield curve control. It's going to be very hard. They're going to have to do a lot of QE, because yield curve control is not QE. Yield curve control is setting a target and telling the market, don't you dare go through this level. And the market is daring. It looks like the bond vigilantes are waking up. Are they going to be put back to sleep? I think the question is still up in the air. And things are going to get really interesting, I think, in the next few weeks. So this is what Jim says. So they bought 4 billion Aussie dollars, a new record, doubled the daily high watermark from Thursday. So it was Thursday last week. And also last March, at the height of the lockdowns, Aussie 10-year down 27 basis points today. Remember, when a central bank panics, you don't have to anymore. The 10-year is now at 168. It is up 1.2 basis point, but that's in the aftermarket yesterday. This is already like the Tuesday session starting late on Monday in Australia. So yeah, that yield got up to, the high was 1.98%. So you can see here by this chart, the Aussie Central Bank was panicking. And look at how this yield has gone up from 1.2 pretty much in the middle of February to almost 2% today. And it corresponds with all the physical tightness in silver and gold. So with that, let's look at the yield curve in the US. The US yield curve, of course, it trades, the cash treasury market trades virtually 24/7 around the world. So yeah, the 10-year yield right now is down 4 basis points at 142. So yes, it looks like, yeah, the central banks are not gonna stand for rising yields. The question though is whether they will succeed, whether the people who are starting to sell bonds are gonna either reverse the selling and start buying with the central banks. If they do that, it means the central banks have succeeded temporarily. Or will they actually take this as an opportunity to sell? Because when the central banks buy, the yields go down, prices go up. We'll have to see. It's getting very interesting. And I think it has everything to do with what's going on in precious metals. The bullion banks at the top, not the traders, the people running these banks and the central banks, they know how important gold and silver are, and they're concerned. So with silver, yeah, I think we need to continue to get the word out. Yes, all the excitement is kind of gone down a little bit, but I think that's partly true. And why partly? Well, because I think there's a lot of interest in silver still. I donated for this GoFundMe Silver Squeeze a couple of days ago. I donated $20. I think it's Canadian or US, I'm not sure. And at the time they had raised about $12,000. and now about 2 days later, we're up to 72,000. So there's 1.2 thousand donors. If we can get that number up, and you don't have to give a lot, maybe $5-10, it adds up. And this campaign is going to use the funds to promote the movement, to advertise on social media. So I think it's a good thing to get people aware of it, and also sharing videos like mine, videos that people who put two and two together and show that silver is not just a shiny metal or commodity. It's more than that. Aside from being a very important, of course, industrial metal, it's also a key monetary metal. And that's why I love buying, aside from buying bullion silver, I like buying the old numismatic silver, because you see that everywhere around the world silver was money. So here I've got a Portuguese coin from 1953, 20 escudos. I've got a Brazilian silver coin from the 1800s, 2000 reais. And you look at the silver, the Morgan dollar, and that one, they look very similar. And the other day I bought another very nice silver coin, and I was surprised because it's from Liberia. Yes, the country in West Africa that was founded by President Monroe, so that the African slaves in the US could have somewhere to go. They were given their freedom, and they could go to Liberia. Capital of Liberia is Monrovia, after Monroe. So I found this. It's a $1 from 1962 in Liberia. A beautiful coin, actually. It's one of the most beautiful coins I've seen. So yes, everywhere around the world, silver has been, and I would say still is, money. We can't deny it. I mean, they try to put down gold and silver, that they're pet rocks or whatever, but it's going to be hard. And that's why, as I said, it's not just a trade. Well, it shouldn't be a trade. It should be something that helps you preserve what you've built up throughout your life, the wealth. And wealth is just excess activity that you've been rewarded for, that you don't want to spend, and you want to store that excess activity. That's all it is. It's not about greed. And I think that's the important thing. And that's why we need to keep buying physical, not ETFs. Yes, PSLV, but even that, I think I've heard that there are people out there, probably the bullion banks, that are shorting the PSLV. So if you buy the PSLV as well, you need to buy a big amount to get the physical delivery. So that's the message today. And with that, let's look at where the markets are. We've looked at where the bond markets are already. The yields are falling. It looks like the central bankers are panicking with the bond vigilantes. They seem to be waking up a little bit. So right now it's 10 past 8 a.m. London. We've got spot gold at 1752. Yes, you heard me right. It's up. It's up $18. We've been as high as 1760. If you remember, I think on Friday we got to 1717. It was down over $50 intraday. And if you remember as well, a few weeks ago, the low was around 1755, 1760. So right now there's a bit of resistance here. The low's been 1730. So we're up about 1%. You can bet that the Bank of England and their bullion banksters are already active this morning now in London, and they're doing everything they can to keep the paper price of gold and silver suppressed. That's how they work, these people. I don't want to say what they are here. It starts with a C and ends with an AL. Spot silver has gotten back above 27. The high's been 27.10. Right now we're at 26.90, up just under 1% or 25 cents. The Dow future is up 350. The NASDAQ is up 200. S&P is up 48. So they're up just over 1%. The currencies, we've got the pound up 0.25%. At 139.59, the euro 120.67, that's unchanged. Dollar unchanged against the Japanese yen 106.60. Dollar's down 0.2 versus the yuan at 646.90. What about some of the other commodities, the more general commodities? Well, high grade copper is up 1.2% at 414. WTI crude is up 2% at 62.50. So there you go. Yes, we need to keep stacking as much silver and gold if possible. I know gold is out of reach for a lot of people, but silver is still a steal, I would say. You can even buy silver with your stimulus check in the States. If you're receiving it, and if it's not going to make a difference to you, yeah, I would say buy silver. The other thing I would say, I saw a lot of comments yesterday on social media, some on my live stream, about the guy who was president up until recently, that he made a speech at some conservative conference. And one thing I would say, if he really wanted to put the cats amongst the pigeons, with all the support he has, he's the most popular man, I would say, in the United States. If he told his followers, buy silver, buy 10 ounces of silver each of you, can you imagine what would happen? That would probably put the deep state in deep trouble. So that's the question I ask to the former president. What about silver? So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and all these other platforms below here. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.